All right, so I want to talk about some cool stuff here. Third, fourth, and fifth dimension. And why am I talking about this right now when I should be doing my taxes? Because I got bored and this is just what I think about. Actually, I think understanding this stuff helps us understand the nature of our existence and the nature of something like spirituality, or why these sort of higher level concepts might be important to someone who doesn't care about spirituality. So whether you're a spiritual person or not, you might find a lot of interest in this video. So first of all, third dimension, really important to find an understanding of what that is first. It's our third dimensional reality. It's actually an illusion proven by quantum physics, and this is kind of the whole point of religion, is to see beyond this sort of sphere of being in life, because this is where all our limitations come from. So basically, when we're born, we always see as energy as an infant. That's why whenever you see a baby, send it love, give it some love, good positive energy. And then as soon as the first thing we develop as a child is our object permanence. That's touch, taste, smell, all that stuff. And then family belonging, that's our tribal group family belonging. That's when we're establishing that third dimension, but where it really comes in and is finalized, because I don't think animals necessarily live in the same third dimension that we do, is when we develop the self and the ego. So when we look at ourselves in the mirror and go, oh, that's me, and then our ego starts to form and we have that subjective objective duality, that is when that third dimension really comes online. And this relates to the frontal lobe, complex neocortex of the brain. That type stuff is where we have that subjective objective duality. And so now you watching this screen, watching me and me being here and all these different separate parts that make up our reality, that's the third dimension. And it's super important to know this, because this is where the illusion of self-separation comes in, where we believe we're like all part of a fragmented reality, but quantum physics is like, no, that's not true. And that's why religion is all about trying to find unity and wholeness. That's their whole point. It's to save us from this human disease, this challenge: fear, stress, anxiety, control, addiction, attachment. All those things come through the third dimension. That's our reality that we live in. 95% of all human beings, we're mostly in the third dimension all the time. So as long as we're alive, we're breathing, we're experiencing flesh and all this, we're in the third dimension. Now, what's fourth dimension? Fourth dimension is literally third dimension is time and space, right? Everything we think of in terms of from the Big Bang all the way through creation, all the space, the stars, earth, self, other, that's third dimension. Fourth dimension is the power of now, the meditative mind, when we get into that wholeness, that connection, where whatever it is brings us into that. It's that flow state, that's that access point for flow. Like maybe we're teaching or we're surfing or we're doing something that we get in that zone and literally time stops and we're in the power of now. It's a very powerful state. It's the meditative mind. It's why we meditate. It takes us out of the duality and brings us into wholeness. And so that's where you can kind of tie in the real to the spiritual, is that out of duality into wholeness, fourth dimension. Also what happens in that stage is that frontal lobe of the brain actually goes offline now. It goes, shuts down and goes back in a deeper part of our brain. So there's no more separation. There's actually a part of our brain where there's distinguishes the separation between self and everything else, and that even goes offline. So you experience that oneness, that wholeness, and that totality. And so that's where we really want to get and be as much as we can in our lives. It's just the power of now could be a very simple version of that, being very present. That's why listening to music brings us so deep. It brings us in that power of now. Dance, any expression like that where you're feeling flow and grace and all that bliss and beauty. We want to have that as much as we can in our lives. Fourth dimension, that's super powerful. That's also like being in the flow, being in alignment with the universe, so things start happening for us. It's sort of like, as Joe Dispenza puts it, that infinite realm of possibilities where now anything can happen. So the more we're in that space, we're opening ourselves up to that infinite realm of possibilities. That's huge. That's what we want to be in more than anything, is the fourth dimension. Fifth dimension is just a step beyond that, and it's like the power to go not really power, but the ability to go beyond sort of the timeless and utilize the timeless. So it's like the Akashic records. It's basically everything's already been written. So this is something that's come up a couple times. You look at someone like, wow, that person's really familiar. Like you get this good or weird vibe about someone, and I realize that if I meet someone now and I get a weird vibe with them that's kind of iffy, something down the line ends up happening with that person where it's like, oh, that makes sense now, right? Or the other way around, where you resonate with someone off the bat and you're just like, seems like I know you, or there's a connection here. And then so down the line, that you're going to have that experience with that person that solidifies that. Now that's in a sense, that's that Akashic record. Everything's already been written. Everything's already been told. Timeless, spaceless, everything. So that's how we can access sort of future and past events. That's how we can almost time travel. So that's where that fifth dimension exists. It's kind of cool. Some people can get there and some people can't. I have a few times. I realized when my dad was going to die when I was 10 years old. I knew he was going to die when I'm half his age, and he died 2 days after my 42nd birthday at 84, and I knew he was going to die from what he was a professional at, which is he was a neurosurgeon. He died from dementia. So that's sort of that fifth dimension access where you can go into the future or the past. You might download something, some breakthrough that could be fifth dimension. So it's sort of going, sort of not necessarily in the power of now and the wholeness and the totality. That's the fourth, but the fifth would be you're literally getting into that Akashic field or that the field, right? The zone, and like being able to almost like connect with people who aren't even in your space. Astral projection, ESP, stuff like that. That's fifth dimension. So hopefully I wanted to explain this in the easiest way possible, and hopefully that is pretty easy because it's really sort of straightforward all the way through and how we experience existence, because there's a lot of stuff out there that seems kind of iffy in these dimensions, and so hopefully that makes sense and it's real for you. And hopefully if you're not a spiritual person, or maybe you are, you can, on either side of that, you see the value in that. Because the fourth dimension is where we get that hyper creativity, that flow, that super power that we all have is in that fourth dimension. And it doesn't have to be a spiritual context. We're proving this through neuroscience, through all these different things that yogis and meditators have always known is now being proved by science. So it's cool stuff, and this is stuff that we're really going to draw our attention towards in the coming future. So yeah, have an awesome day. Fourth dimension rocks.